Have you ever held a 100 yuan note and actually thought about what you were holding? Not just the money itself, but the object, the feel of it, that slight roughness on the portrait of Mao Zedong that you can feel with your fingertip. The way that gold 100 in the corner shifts to deep blue when you tilt it toward the light. There is an entire world of engineering, craftsmanship, and precision behind that single piece of paper, and once you know the story, you will never look at a 100 yuan note the same way again. It begins not in a factory, but in a field. A vast cotton field in Xinjiang, where rows of white cotton bolls stretch all the way to the horizon under a clear autumn sky. The cotton you see growing in that field is not just any cotton. It is long staple premium cotton, chosen specifically because its fibres are longer, stronger and more flexible than ordinary cotton. And it is these fibres, along with linen from flax plants in Heilongjiang province, that will eventually become the paper of your 100 yuan note. Not wood pulp, not recycled paper. Cotton and linen, the same material trusted by central banks all over the world for centuries, because it survives folding, sweating, washing, and years of daily use in ways that wood pulp paper simply cannot. After harvest, the cotton and linen fibres travel to the Baoding Banknote paper mill in Hebei province. This is the world's largest banknote paper production facility, and it is operated by the China Banknote Printing and Minting Corporation, known as CBPM. The scale of this facility is difficult to imagine. It produces the substrate for billions of banknotes every single year, and every sheet that leaves this mill has been engineered to outlast, outwear, and outperform any paper you have ever held in your hands. Here, the raw cotton and linen go through a rigorous cleaning and processing sequence. The fibres are opened by large industrial machines that break the compressed bales apart and separate individual fibres. They pass through cleaning stages that remove dust, seed fragments, and any contamination from the field. The cotton and linen are then blended together in exactly the right proportions and fed into the Hollander beaters. If you have never heard of a Hollander beater, think of it as a machine that roughens and frays the surface of individual fibres at a microscopic level. This mechanical beating creates millions of tiny fibre hairs that interlock with each other when the paper forms, creating a sheet that is almost impossibly strong for its weight. While the fibres are being beaten, the paper technicians are also preparing the chemical additives that will go into the furnish. Wet strength resins are added to make the note survive humidity and handling. Internal sizing agents protect the paper from moisture absorption. And then, very carefully, fine coloured security fibres are added to the suspension. These are tiny threads in red, blue and yellow that disperse randomly throughout the furnish. When the paper is formed, these threads become permanently embedded within it, scattered in a unique, unrepeatable pattern across every single note. If you hold a genuine 100 yuan note under an ultraviolet lamp, you will see them glow brilliantly against the paper. The furnish then flows to the paper machine, and this is where something quite extraordinary happens. The paper machine at Baoding uses a cylinder mould process designed specifically for security paper. As the diluted fibre suspension flows onto the rotating wire-covered cylinder, the water drains through and the fibres begin to form a sheet. At a precise moment in this formation process, a specially designed cylinder presses against the wet fibre web. This cylinder carries the raised portrait of Chairman Mao Zedong embossed on its surface. As it presses into the wet fibres, it displaces them, creating areas of lower and higher fibre density. When the finished note is held up to a light source, these density variations appear as a beautiful multi-tonal portrait watermark, a photographic quality image built entirely from variations in paper thickness. No ink, no printing, just the fibres themselves arranged to create a portrait. At the same moment, two separate security threads are being embedded into the wet paper. One is a wide optically variable thread that periodically breaks through the surface of the note, creating those small windows you can see on the genuine 100 yuan note. This thread shifts in colour from pink to gold when you tilt the note. The second is a narrower thread embedded deeper within the paper, visible only in transmitted light as a dark line carrying repeated denomination text. Both threads become permanent structural elements of the paper itself. They cannot be removed without destroying the note. The finished paper is dried, calendared to a smooth surface, and shipped to CBPM's printing facilities. The Beijing printing plant receives the certified substrate, and the transformation from raw security paper to banknote begins. The offset printing presses apply the complex multicolour background design first, printing both faces of the sheet simultaneously. The dominant red tones, the warm golden yellows, the fine guilloche rosette patterns, and the architectural detail of the Great Hall of the People on the reverse all go down in this stage. If you look at a 100 yuan note with a magnifier, those background line patterns are so fine and so precisely interlocked that any attempt to photograph or photocopy them immediately produces a blurred, degraded mess. That is intentional. The pattern is mathematically designed to defeat copying. Then comes intaglio printing, and this is the process that creates that distinctive feel you noticed at the beginning of our story. The intaglio printing plates carry the portrait of Mao Zedong engraved deeply into hardened steel by master craftsmen who spend years perfecting the art of translating a photographic portrait into thousands of precisely modulated engraved lines. Wider lines create darker tones, finer lines create lighter tones. The spacing, depth, and angle of every single line is a decision made by a skilled human hand. The plates are inked, the surface is wiped clean with a precision doctor blade, but the ink remains trapped inside the engraved grooves. Then the banknote paper is pressed against the plate under enormous pressure. The paper fibres are pressed into those grooves, pulling the ink out and depositing it on the paper surface in tiny ridges that physically stand above the paper. At CBPM, this is done simultaneously on both faces in a single printing pass. The result is the raised portrait and the raised text and the raised denomination numerals that you can feel with your fingertip. No printer, no photocopier, and no home printing technology can ever produce this tactile quality. After intaglio, the spark optically variable patch is applied. That is the gold 100 in the corner that shifts to deep blue when tilted. The colour shifting ink denomination numeral in the lower centre, shifting from gold to green, is applied by a specialised intaglio unit. Both of these elements use optical physics that require industrial manufacturing processes and materials that are entirely unavailable outside licensed security printing. Then, ultraviolet fluorescent inks are applied, invisible under white light but revealing hidden security patterns under UV illumination. The dual serial numbers, one horizontal in black and one vertical in red, are then applied by the numbering machine, making every single 100 yuan note unique across the entire production run. Every completed sheet passes through CBPM's comprehensive automated inspection machine, which checks every note position on every sheet simultaneously using high-resolution cameras, ultraviolet sensors, infrared detectors, and magnetic sensors, all in fractions of a second. Any sheet with a defect anywhere is flagged, the defective position marked, and the defective note automatically rejected and diverted later in the process. The approved notes are then cut to their final size, sorted individually at high speed, counted, banded into bundles of 100, and bricked into packs of 1,000. The sealed transfer cases are loaded into armoured vehicles under armed escort and delivered to the People's Bank of China, where the notes are formally accepted into the official currency supply, from a cotton field in Xinjiang to a linen plant in Heilongjiang, through the world's largest banknote paper mill in Baoding, through offset presses, intaglio presses, security feature application machines, and comprehensive automated inspection at the CBPM Beijing facility. Into an armoured vehicle, through the vault doors of the People's Bank of China, and eventually into your hands. That is the complete journey of a 100 yuan note. Every step